Okay, guys, so in video number one, we had answered A and B. One in part C, we want to find the how much time it takes for the ball to hit the ground, and that means we have to find zero. One is so when the ball hits the ground, that's at time zero, or excuse me, height zero. We don't know what the time is when that happens. Okay, so to do this, we're going to set the equation equal to zero. All right, and I'm going to do that over here on the side. So we're going to have negative 16t squared plus 96t plus 200 equals 0, right? Why? The height is 0 when something hits the ground, right? Now, we can put this in Desmos and find it, or you can factor this equation. You may have learned factoring, I don't know. So to factor this, you have to we're going to multiply two things to get the same thing that we started with, which looks like this. I usually start this type of question out by putting the parentheses first and saying I have to figure out what it is, okay? Now, something times something equals what we started with. So in the first thing, we have t squared, right? What times what equals t squared? That's an easy one. We know t times t equals t squared. So I'm putting the t's first. That has to be the answer. If we have t squared, we know that's t times t, guys, right? Now, the second part is we have to have two things that multiply to give me negative 16. Okay, but that's going to be a problem because I skipped a step. Look, we can't do that. We have to actually factor out the negative 16 first. Okay, so I missed that. Sometimes in math, you realize you did something wrong, you go back and redo it. Okay, so here, if I take the 16 away from the t squared, I'm going to put it out front. That's called factoring out a constant number. So to do the middle term, I have 96 times t. I'm going to factor out a negative 16. That means I'm going to do 96 divided by negative 16. Okay, that's going to end up giving me negative 6. Okay, the t is still there. I'm only factoring out negative 16 from everything. So 96 divided by negative 16 on that one. We're also going to do 200 divided by negative 16. Okay. 200 divided by negative 16 is going to be 12.5. Okay. I had to do it in my head because I'm on video. Right. So 12 and a half. 10 times 16 is 160. We got 40 left. There's two more 16s to make 32. We need 40, so there's 8 left over, and that's a half. So that's how I got 12.5. 10 plus 2 plus a half. Okay, this is basic math. I learned that stuff when I was in third and fourth grade. I was a math when I was a kid. I loved math. I always try to get 100% on every assignment. That's why I'm your math teacher, guys. Just so you know a little bit more about me. I know we did introductions the other day. So this is factoring out the negative 16. Now, you look at t squared here. Now the t squared is going to match up, but don't forget we do have a negative 16 that we had to factor out front. Okay, now it looks like this. And we're trying to find the time it takes to hit the ground. So we know that um, t times t equals t squared. The next part is we have to figure out what two numbers multiply to give us 12.5 that add or subtract to get us negative 6. Okay. So this is going to be a little bit hard. That's going to be kind of hard to factor that. Okay. I might actually pause this to figure out exactly what to do because I think I got stuck on it just now. All right. Hold on. Okay, guys, who found my mistake? The mistake was that when I factored 200 divided by negative 16, what is it? Positive 200 divided by a negative 16? It's negative 12.5 right there. Okay. And then the other problem we're having is we cannot factor that. So that means we have to go a different route. We have to use the quadratic formula, which I don't know if you've learned that yet because I'm new around here. So I'm going to show you it. The quadratic formula is uh, negative b plus or minus b square root of b squared. I'm actually on this one, all right? So I will write it here. B squared, excuse me, negative b. We start with negative b plus or minus. By the way, you know what b is. You know what a, b, and c are. Remember that, okay? If you haven't seen the quadratic formula before, I would be surprised, but if you haven't, now you are. Oops, it's going to be, I don't know how to go backwards, but let me erase. That's supposed to be b squared right there. Inside the square root, we got b squared. Sorry, it's early. You guys are sleeping right now. B squared minus 4ac. So here's the formula, and I'll show you it's not that hard to use this. You might already know that, but here's the way you find the zeros of a quadratic function, and this is going to be on the SAT test. You know the SAT test is the one where you get a good score on it, you go to Harvard University or wherever you feel like going. So negative b, if b is negative 6, what is negative 6? Okay, we talked about that yesterday. It's going to be a positive 6. So we have 6 plus or minus square root of, and then b squared is going to be negative 6 times negative 6. So that is 36. And then minus 4 times a times c. Minus 4 times a times c, that is 4 times 1, because we're looking at just this in here right now, okay? Maybe I'll redo the color on that little guy right there. So that's what we have to factor, the one in red there. So a is 1. The 16 is out front, it's gone. So b squared minus 4ac. 4 times 1 times negative 12.5. All right, try to do that in my head. I got confused, but you could use a calculator. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 12.5. 12.5 times 4 is going to be 50. So we got that. And then divided by, let me go back to my pen because we're forgetting the square root sign. There's a square root right here. Okay, and then at the bottom we have 2 times a. 2 times a is 2 times 1. So that's where we are. We're going to put equals, and then we're going to have the answer here. This is kind of a hard one because we could not factor it. So I'm going to start with 6 plus the square root of 86. What's the square root of 86? Can I do that in my head? Oh my gosh. Not right now. So let me do the square root of 86. 9.27. All right. So now my answer is, finally, we're getting there. You probably think, wow, math got hard. 6 plus 9.27, and then divide that by 2. Is that the answer? Or we could or we can do it with a minus sign, okay? Because plus or minus, anytime you do a square root, the answer is going to be either positive or negative. Remember when we did negative 6 squared, we got the positive 36? So it could be this, or it could be 6 minus 9.27 divided by 2. Now, I feel like I made a mistake on this somewhere. Can you find my mistake? Well, I see what happened here, guys. So I'm doing it right. However, remember when we factored out the -16? That's changing the signs of everything. So anyway, the first one is going to be 15.27 divided by 2. So I'll show you what happened here. That's 7.6 seconds. Is it 7.6 seconds? Or is it, okay, the next one is 6 minus 9.27, right? 6 minus 9.27 is going to be a negative. That's negative 3.27 divided by 2, negative 1.63. So negative 1.6 seconds is, which one of these is the answer, right? For how long did it take? Okay. So what I did was I went to Desmos, because yesterday we just went right to Desmos and it was like, bam, that's the answer, right? So you can always go to Desmos and take a look at this right now. I believe using the quadratic formula, if you can do that right now, you're like A plus. So, but we have been working on finding the vertex. You want to be a master at that, but when it comes to quadratic formula, we might do a little practice maybe tomorrow. On quadratic formula, it's an important one for this chapter. Again, let me go back to the Desmos. Here's the, I put it into the, I put the equation in like we did yesterday, and I kept the same numbers I had from my other one, and it turned out pretty good. You can see the only difference here is that we're starting at a different height. If I'm starting at a height of 200, then that means I have to have a 200 here. So I'm going to take this number down here and change it to 200. And now you can see we got, hey, we threw a ball up in the air. Of course, it's going to come down fast. Actually, I think I put the wrong number in there, didn't I? Let me see. Okay, guys. So it turns out that I actually did it right. Imagine that, right? Let me take a look again. Where are we? So is it 7.6 seconds, or is it? Yeah, I got a whole bunch of students in here somehow. I actually do. Oh no, that's from yesterday. So is it 7.6 seconds or negative 1.6 seconds? Do you think the ball hit the ground after 7.6 seconds or negative 1.6 seconds? Okay, that's a reality check. No, ball didn't hit the ground after a negative amount of seconds. That don't make any sense. You got it. 7.6 might be right. When I put it into Desmos just now, I was like looking at it. I'm like, that don't make sense to me because I wrote down it wrong. I put it in there and I accidentally put a negative sign in here on the 96. So take a look at my graph. You throw a ball up in the air, it's not even showing. I mean, maybe I should change 200 to 300. If I change 200 to I can see where it goes. I can't see where it goes, right? So when you want to view something, let me put 300 right here. Oh, not enough. I'm gonna go 400. You threw a ball up in the air very fast. Remember, I just said I don't even know how fast it was, but when did it hit the ground? That's all we would need right now. And look at this, 7.63 or 7. I'm just gonna round that to 7.6 seconds, and I think we got a perfect answer. You see what I mean? Look here, 7.6 seconds. It matches what I did. The quadratic formula is nice and valuable. Now, if you haven't learned the quadratic formula, you should learn that. So your assignment today, let me first just answer part C. How long will it take? Yes, we got that. 7.6 seconds, right? And then part B is extra credit, if you want to do that one, right? Your assignment for today, I'm going to pick the questions that I like, I think are interesting. Fireworks, that's pretty interesting. So I think you guys can handle that. I want you to do number 7. Okay. Number 8 could be a good one, but I think I'm going to do the pistol question, which is number 9. I can't pick a whole bunch of these because we just don't have time, right?